Look, the people that write the firmware upgrades for these things aren't perfect. This is a Hero 12, and all the upgrades I've done for it on its firmware have been great. But this is my Hero 9, and they haven't always been so great. I got a dual exposure issue out of one, and I got some other issues with another firmware upgrade. So today, I want to share with you the best way to upgrade the firmware on your GoPro. And it doesn't matter what kind of GoPro you have, what model or whatever, but follow this procedure and your upgrades will go a lot smoother, better, and provide you rollback capability. Welcome back to the channel, my friend. This is Creator Reality, and today we're talking about GoPros again because I use them quite frequently, and I want to share this helpful advice with anybody who also owns a GoPro. So stick with me. We're going to go through all the different steps. And I know you could use just a phone and the Quik app to do the upgrades, but I'm going to give you some reasons why that is not a great idea. But first, I'm going to mute my phone because normally it makes noise while I'm trying to record a video. How you doing out there? You having a good day? Leave me a comment. Let me know how your day is going. All right. Now, let's dive right in. If you go to GoPro's website, you can find their firmware upgrades page, and you can go into the manual update area and download the firmware. And once it's downloaded on your computer, then we go to wherever it is on your computer and we take that and we right click and say extract all. If you have a Mac, I don't have a Mac. I can't really help you there. I'm assuming most of this will translate and you're probably used to that by now. Are Macs still the minority in the world? Anyway, I digress. So once you have those files extracted, now we take them and we copy them to your SD card, which you've plugged into your computer and taken out of your GoPro, right? You remember to do that step first? Anyway, I'll give you a second if you hadn't. But now you have the files on your GoPro's SD card. So you take it out of your computer, you put it back in your camera, and when you fire it up, it will say updating, and it'll do the update. Do note that GoPro includes the update for the remote as part of some of their firmware upgrades, starting with the Hero 10. So if you do an upgrade on your firmware for your 10, 11, or 12, you could get this thing updating next time you pair your camera with it. Just be aware of that, okay? I said earlier that using your phone and the Quik app to update your GoPro could be problematic, and it can. Sometimes these things brick halfway through an update. If you lose connection or it has a problem doing the data transfer from the phone to the camera, it can actually disable your GoPro like completely. And I've heard of it happening. It's never happened to me, but it's just something to be aware of. Additionally, using the Quik app doesn't give you easy access to the firmware for your GoPro. So if there is a problem and you want to downgrade, you can't do that easily. If, however, you followed the previous steps that I showed you, manually updating the camera, it's pretty easy to go back into your archive folder like I showed you on mine. I've got a whole list of them for all 5 of my GoPros. You can go back into that folder, find the update before the one you just did, and follow the same steps, and now you've downgraded your firmware. I've had to do this a number of times, and every time they come out with a new firmware, I test it for a few days before I use it for something I actually care about. And then I make sure that it's not going to introduce any new issues. And the next question you're going to ask is there a solution if I've already done the firmware upgrade and it did cause a problem? Well, I do have a solution for that. You can Google GoPro firmware history, and there are some GitHub links that you can click on. And I'm not going to link them here because I don't know the legality of all that, but there's ways to find the old firmware. I once found one on a French website. Luckily, it was still in English, but you could then downgrade your firmware because GoPro doesn't check to see if the firmware you're trying to install is newer than the firmware that's on there. So you can go back in time with these things, and I think that's actually kind of good because with the number of issues I've had with new firmware upgrades, I'm glad to know that I can go back if I need to. And that, my friends, is the best way to do the upgrade of the firmware on your GoPro. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it was helpful to you, boop the like button and maybe consider going and watching this video next, and I'll see you there. Have a great day.